Hey everyone, welcome back again to more Tsukihime. Let's continue.
別に活動に異常をきたすほどの温度じゃないでしょ。まだたったの38度だし。弱っているとはいえ、今の私でも3000度ぐらいまでなら普通だよ。
I'm an idiot for even asking. Did she say 3000 degrees Celsius? So you could throw a vampire on a grill and they still wouldn't burn? No, this isn't the time to be thinking about that. The digital display still lists the temperature as 11 degrees. So either the clock is malfunctioning, or my body is. I searched the room for another thermometer.
なんだあれ。
Ah, we're about to be attacked, aren't we? As I scan the room, my gaze becomes transfixed on the monitor displaying a live feed of the hotel lobby.
燃えてる。
I can hardly believe my eyes. It's something you only see in a movie. Ah, yep. Flames spread through the lobby like water spilling from a sink. Mixed in the thick black smoke, I see a humanoid silhouette. It gives me the impression of a massive predator, a carnivore that eats those like it.
ArkHangel!
Arkway remains silent. Is it hostility I read in her expression? No, it's something more like contempt. The two of us must be entertaining very different thoughts as we stare at this monitor. It takes less than a minute for the lobby to be entirely engulfed by the sea of flames. The fire alarm doesn't ring. The digital thermometer still hasn't changed. But my body is drenched in sweat, and simply breathing the hot, dry air is enough to parch my throat. There's no time to think. They're here. Those flaming corpses from before have come to the hotel.
くそ。
I make a run for the window to inspect the situation outside. The town looks the same as ever. The hotel is bathed in flames, but nobody outside seems to have noticed a thing. There's no sign of aid rushing to the hotel, nor of any humans frantically trying to escape the fire.
どうなってるんだArkHangel!
Arkway keeps her mouth firmly shut, unwilling to say a word. Time simply passes. The temperature feels like it's getting hotter by the second. My skin feels like it could burn any minute. I don't know what things are like outside our room, nor do I have any idea what things are like on the floors below. All I know is the awful, ominous feeling gripping my chest telling me that it's already too late. Arkway is still silent. Is it because she's worried or frustrated? Her arms are crossed like she's hugging herself, or maybe she's trying to hold herself back. She said she wouldn't leave this room. She said she didn't have the power right now. In which case, what did I come here for? I should go outside and investigate. I should stay in the room to observe the situation. Alright, so these choices, I'm fairly certain, if I'm not careful, will lead to a dead end for me. So, I don't want a bad end. I'm gonna go and assess and observe for a bit. I should stay in the room to observe the situation. It's better to observe the situation from in here. It'd be reckless for me to go out there alone while Arkway's still recovering. Time continues to pass. My fingers tighten around the knife as my eyes fixate on the video feed of the lobby bathed in flame. Arkway's eyes are closed. Looking at her now reminds me of how beautiful, no, how powerful she looked in the moonlight. It's been more than half a day since the fight in the alley. Surely she should gain a bit of her power by now. It's hot. It's like I'm standing inches away from a massive bonfire, cooking and smoldering as the air in front of me distorts from the heat. It's getting hard to breathe. I figured that it'd be safe as long as I stayed inside of the room, but my head is feeling light. At this rate, I'm gonna pass out. Should I go out there knowing it's dangerous? I still have time. But just as I start to reevaluate my decision, the lights go out. The mysterious high temperature suddenly drops again. At the same time, I hear it. An unending flurry of knocks against the door.
四季覚悟はいい。
Arkway's words are the only thing to break through the darkness. I swallow as I listen to the pounding.
覚悟って何の
There's no time for me to finish my question. Now it's go time. If staying in this room was a mistake, then I guess asking something like that was a mistake too. Hearing the splintering of wood, I whip around to face the door. God, in the face. It was just a split-second decision. But I distanced myself from the door in hopes it'd be safer. Little did I know what would happen next. The two dogs that broke down the door burst into the room. Arkway slashes at them with her claws, and the second she does, the room is flooded with fire, hot flames washing over every corner until it's filled to the brim. Unless we're dealing with incredible temperatures, a human won't die instantly when exposed to fire. But these flames hit like a blunt weapon, powerful enough to turn the body to ashes in a single blow. It reminds me of a flamethrower. A flamethrower might look like it's launching flames at you, but in reality, it merely douses the target with fuel, igniting it a microsecond later. This fire is pretty similar. The blaze strikes across the room like a whip, reducing everything it touches to cinders in an instant. What chance does the human body have against something that can melt its way through a wall or table? If there's one small mercy at the center of all this inferno, it's that the fire lashed straight through my waist and immediately incinerated everything above it, sparing me the slow agony of burning alive. Oh, bad end? Ah, I got the bad end already. Okay. Unfortunate. Alright, go inside and investigate.
よし
I take a short, deep breath to clear my head. I search for something I could use as a weapon, but a quick survey of the room doesn't give me anything. I swallow my hesitation, take my knife from my bag, and head for the door.
四季
様子を見てくる俺が戻ってくるまで部屋から出るな
Arkway looks like she wants to say something, but I tear my gaze away and head into the hallway. It's dark. I guess the lights must have malfunctioned. The only light I see is a faraway glow from the elevator hall. My throat burns more now. The very air is thick and scraping against me like sandpaper. The silence in the hallway is unsettling. You can hear a pin drop. There isn't a single sign of life. No, running in terror. People? No burnt people. The utter silence is making me question what I saw on the monitor just now.
異常はないよな
I walk through the hallway. Sweat forms into beads and runs down my forehead. It's so quiet. I'm starting to feel that I'm the intruder here. Intruder, intruder, intruder. Normally, you'd exterminate any pests that intrude a place like this. It's all I can do to calm myself down. I readjust my grip on the knife so the sweat doesn't make it slip from my palm. I feel nauseous. There's a pressure near my temples. Somewhere between my eyes and my brain, my nerves experience a strange pull. It's as if my eyes are trying to crawl into my brain cavity. Or maybe my brain's trying to swallow my eyes. I bite back against the dull aching pain as I traverse through the heat wave blasting me from all sides. My eyes grow heavy. My eyelids feel like they're gaining mass. My body sways. I might just pass out. I know the feeling well. It's how I feel just before I collapse from anemia. Please don't collapse right now. It hurts. The pain is so unbearable, I have to take off my glasses. I look in the direction of the elevators. This corridor is so long. It's gotta be more than 20 meters to the elevators from here. It's too far, I tell myself. Go back to the room. What is this? A few more steps and there will be no more going back. A clear sound. The gentle chime of the elevator shatters the silence, as if to herald the destruction of this pure, empty space devoid of life. A foreboding chill stops me in my tracks. My eyes are pulled towards the unwanted intrusion. The small elevator light stops. It has arrived at its destination. I can see the lines stretching across the elevator door into the distance. Though, shrouded by so many, a dense web of them, I can barely see the door. The door is open. I peer inside the cramped metal box. Well, that's not a pleasant sight to see. The inside is overflowing with flesh. The flesh of things that were alive until a moment ago. My breathing ceases. Just like my breath refuses to process the things I'm seeing, so do my lungs abandon their duty. I stare at the scene within the elevator. The thick chunks of red meat are packed tight as they can be within the metal box. In the middle of it all are two dogs tearing at their morbid feasts. My vision turns red. With a nauseating squelching noise, a gelatinous mass of meat oozes out of the elevator. A sea of blood, carcass, bone, brain, fingers, and viscera. The pool of carnage only houses two living residents, the dogs. The rational part of my brain refuses to accept this scene as reality. At the end of the hallway, the dogs are still digging into the mutilated cadavers. Terrible new sounds travel up to the elevator shaft. Discordant screams spill into the hallway. If I strain my ears, I can just make out the sounds of flesh being gnawed on, intermingled with the shrieks of despair so anguished they hardly sound human. It feels like my hearing has found a shortcut to my imagination. Even though I can't see it with my eyes, the carnage is all too clear in my mind's eye. People being burned alive. People being eaten alive. A man notices the unusual temperature and leaves his room to flee. The second he opens the door, he is enveloped by a hellish fire that roasts him to the bone. A young girl sobs in despair, locked in her room. When the flames from the lobby reach her floor, she is in the bathtub. The water steams and bubbles, boiling her alive and turning her ruptured flesh to ash from the inside out. Many clamor to get into the elevator that arrives. Inside, they find it already packed with bodies of those who tried to escape before. By the time the newcomers realize those present are no longer human, they are already being consumed. Well, damn. There are two types of screams, those born from the fear of being eaten and those born from the fear of being burned alive. There are no exceptions. The small elevators are a microcosm of what the hotel has become. This vision of hell is so close I can feel the agony flush against my skin. I want to throw up, but I can't. If I did, I'd become a part of this horrible ocean of red. I force my body to remember how to breathe. I grind my teeth together to regain a sense of control. The dogs notice me. As soon as they do, all sound from the floors below stops. That can only mean one thing. No one else is alive. The dogs break into a sprint toward me. I'm the only prey left within their hunting grounds. The black hounds approach me. Their bodies are marked with countless lines. But they're no use to me now. My mind is too paralyzed to do anything. I can't even decide whether to fight or flee. One of the dogs leaps. No human could even come close to matching it in speed. It covers 20 meters of the hallway in less than 2 seconds. Its maw opens wide. Sharp, saw-like teeth reach for my throat. The dog's movements are fast and deadly efficient. The second my mind managed to process that it's leaping at me, the beast closes its fangs around my neck with a terrible gnashing sound. This is where Shikitono dies. No, that isn't right. This won't kill me. I won't die here. Seeing death isn't new to me. It was a hot summer day. It feels so long ago, yet it was merely 7 years. Back then, I witnessed something far more horrifying. I thrust my knife into the forehead of the dog that tried to gnaw at my throat. As if on autopilot, my arm swung up the second the monster's canines touched my skin, before it could pierce my corroded artery. I surprised even myself. Like a machine whose only function is cutting and slicing, I thread the knife through the dog's forehead with mechanical precision. It comes easy as I'm merely cutting through one of the dog's lines. Normally, destroying an animal's brain wouldn't cause its body to cease functioning immediately. The muscles will move in spasm in response to the brain's final signals, carrying out their last commands to the best of their ability. Even if I tore my blade straight to the dog's head, its fangs would still tear through my neck. I was gonna say skin. But this is different. I didn't just kill the dog, I brought death. Death means total cessation. No matter how monstrous the dog was, it lost every ounce of power the second I killed it. It falls limply to the ground. The second dog is already lunging toward me in its place. I stab the knife into its wide open jaw. My blade buries into its wet flesh. The skin of the dog may be oddly tough, but its insides are soft and yielding, its flesh and bone having long rotted. But I messed up this time. This dog's lines aren't on its head. They're all congregated around its chest. I might have managed to stab it, but the damage done is little more than a flesh wound. The knife has pierced the dog's maw, reaching the back of its head, which naturally means that the hand holding the knife is now fully enveloped by the creature's mouth. The dog is still very much alive. It clamps its jaw shut around my outstretched arm. I feel the strain as it pulls against the soft cartilage between my hand and wrist. Any moment now, it'll tear straight through the flesh. The pain is enough to snap me back to reality. This fucking hurts. What the hell am I doing? Getting my arm torn to shreds just to stick a knife to a dog's mouth. No! I struggle and squirm, trying to wrench my arm out of its vice-like grip. As something gnashes at my arm and intense pain shoots up through my nerves like a firework. Its teeth feel like they're stuck deep within my arm, but it's awfully lively for something with a knife in its skull. The dog presses its weight against me, toppling both of us and pinning me down against the carpet. My back is driven hard against the floor, but even now, its grip on my arm hasn't loosened one bit. With my knife still plunged deep inside its head, the black dog tightens its jaw further. It's gonna rip off my arm. This is insane. What kind of dog keeps biting down in a situation like this? Something warm and wet drips down to my elbow. Red blood is dripping from the dog's frenzied, quivering lips. It might be the dog's blood trickling down my arm from the knife. Or it might be my blood, flowing freely as the dog tries to render my arm into mincemeat. To my scrambled brain, it doesn't matter much. The dog refuses to release his prize. There's no way I can run away with the dog still clinging to my arm. Not that running away was ever an option to begin with. Nor did I have any intention of doing so. I just want to survive, and in order to survive, there was only ever one condition. All I have to do is kill. But how do I do that? It won't be long till one of my arms gets chewed off. That arm is still gripping the knife. The full weight of the dog has me trapped against the carpet. I'm thinking he's probably going to use his fingers to trace along the lines and cut the dog from there, since his other arm is busy with it, being bit on and all. Even if I managed to pull my arm free, chances are the dog would have had its jaws around my neck the very next second. The desperate circumstances force a weak chuckle to escape my lips. I just need some time to assess the situation, some time to really think it through. That's how I've always done things. That's how I was taught. Like, look, see how there are plenty of lines running along the back of the dog's head? The path to survival is blindingly clear. This is a wild beast, a monster that devours humans. But when it's close to me, I'm painfully aware of its wildly beating heart, burning with its own desire to live. It clamps down on my arm even harder than before. I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. I wish it was me tearing my own throat out. It's kill or be killed, a natural universal law. So why? Why does the supposed cruelty of the action give me so much pause? A thick drop of blood splashed against my face. The red fluid drips down my forehead into my eyes. My vision is pain, a deep dark crimson. It burns itself into my retinas until red is all I can see. The warm, viscous liquid strikes me as oddly familiar. My consciousness slowly slips away from me. Even so, I can't kill something that's alive. Hypocrite. You've already killed something much bigger than some mutt. Ah, that's right. But that time was different. With Arkway, Shikitono wasn't thinking clearly at all. Even when I killed that big dog, it was as if my body moved on its own without my input. But this time, it requires me to make a conscious decision. Didn't Master tell you, Shiki, to use this power for yourself and not for anyone else? That's why. As long as I stay who I am, as long as I remain a decent human being, I will never take any life for granted. Hypocrite. You've done it all before, long ago. A bad dream from my childhood. Look what's holding you back now. It was a hot summer day. It's kill or be killed. Before me is the future of a young boy drenched in blood. You've already. My hands are stained with warm red blood. Killed before, haven't you? I stab. Rather than extract my arm, I instead bury it deeper as the slice through the beast's skull. A pain shriek echoes in my eardrums. Unable to cry out properly with my arm jammed down its throat, the dog's wail resembles a woman's shrill scream. It must be in tremendous pain. Not that it matters. I drive the knife deeper inside, together with my mangled arm. The blade pokes out from the back of the dog's skull. I split its skull and effortlessly slice through its hide, scattering gobs of blood and brains across the carpet. Before I know it, I've thrust both my knife and my arm cleanly through the back of the dog's skull. And yet, it still lives. There's only one thing left for me to do. There's only one thing left for me to do. I take the knife from my bloody right hand and move it to my left. The impaled dog's body trembles and squirms, seemingly pleading for mercy. It even stops digging its fangs into my flesh as if to show remorse. Like I fucking care. I run my blade along the beast's lines and quickly dismantle its body. Good on you, Shiki. Good on you. I look down on that which was once filled with life. The limp body no longer protests as I finally remove my arm from its maw.
なんだ全然食い込んでないじゃないか
I take a long look at my bloodied arm. My school uniform has been torn to shreds, but the gouges in my flesh aren't even a centimeter deep. The deluge of blood dripping down my arm earlier must have belonged to the dog. It doesn't even hurt that badly anymore. My fear must have clouded my mind and amplified the pain in the heat of the moment. I'm still lying down on the floor staring at the ceiling. My head hurts so much. My world is a patchwork stitched together by these lines of death. Though my limbs are freezing cold, my mind is spinning with a fever. The corpses of the two dogs are right beside me. One of my arms is covered in blood, while the other still clutches the reddened knife. Beneath this floor are the mangled and charred corpses of the victims that died in the pandemonium. There's nothing I can do but laugh. Because this isn't real. It can't possibly be real. I'm normal. Totally normal. The only weird thing here is this dream. The second I wake up, it'll all go away. But when did I start dreaming with my eyes open? The elevator chimes. Such a cute, clear noise, entirely inappropriate for the current situation.
Beta.
Another visitor. It's the elevator adjacent to the one that brought the dogs. My exhausted brain doesn't even try to contemplate what this means. The door's open. My mind might not be working, but my body will have to. In a dull haze, I grip the knife in my right hand and haul myself up to face the oncoming tragedy. I don't want to do this. I warily gaze inside the newly arrived elevator. Inside it is...
Kara?
It's completely empty. A bit of an anticlimax in its own way. The danger has passed. Everything's over and I've already gotten a grasp of the situation in the lower floors. Which means there's no reason for me to stick around here. I turn to leave when... I hear a woman's voice. She sounds so desperate it almost seems out of touch with reality. Her pleading screams grow in volume, accompanied by panicked footfalls. There's no mistaking it. It must be a survivor. Out of breath as she frantically works her way up the stairwell next to the elevators. She sounds relieved, but she doesn't slow her pace. Within moments, I can see her spilling from the stairwell and into the hallway. She starts running again as she takes note of me. Her expression, overcast and pale with fear, is lit up by a flash of joy as her eyes focus on me. Ah, crap. A white-gloved hand seizes her, ripping her from salvation and back into hell. Still watching me, the woman begs for help. Ah, no. And then she falls silent. No resistance, no constraints that bind her. The second she's grabbed, she loses consciousness, as if this were a dream and she was snapped awake, leaving only her body behind. Stop. Stop this at once. That woman. Oh no, she got bit. She has nothing to do with this. She's just a sweet and innocent girl. Preying on her is...
Yame!
My cries come too late. Not that they would have changed anything. My eyes are fixated on the woman's neck. Starry orbs of light flicker and scatter within my vision. Rage like never before boils in my chest. My vision clears, and I see two soulless pits amid a deluge of blood. The woman's legs twitch ever so slightly, her fingers jolting reflexively. All emotion, all life drains from her face. Ugh. It has to be the first time I've seen it happen. But I don't need to be familiar with the sight to comprehend the horrific spectacle in front of me. The drinking and the gulping of the monster is almost unnaturally loud against the otherwise silent hallway. When it's had its fill, the monster discards her body without a second thought. Her body wavers, frail like a withered tree. A ballerina tiptoeing the fine line between life and death. I gaze at her pitiful form. The woman is totally silent. The only sound is that of rushing blood. Then her back splits open. In a single moment, a fountain of blood erupts. The vampire sighs in relief as he bathes in the scarlet shower. In an instant, everything around me changes. The sweltering temperature finally seems to match up with reality. A dam of fire bursts, flooding out all at once. The hallways are absolutely enveloped by flames. The heat presses against me, singeing and stinging at my skin like claws. If I were to take a breath now, I'd surely burn my lungs. But something is strange here. The flames continue licking at their surroundings, and yet the building isn't on fire. As the only thing still alive here, I'm the only one left to feel this inferno. My headache intensifies. The man begins walking my way. It's clear he's the source of this river of flames. The closer he gets, the more terrible the heat becomes. He's still 15 meters away from me. But even at this distance, it's impossible for me to breathe. I realize that nothing could survive in this man's vicinity. The proximity alone would lead to a certain incineration. The shadow continues onwards in my direction. He's lean and tall, wearing antiquated clothes topped by a heavy fur cloak. Though his figure may be human-like, everything about him screams that he's anything but. There's something off about him, something wild and crazed. Only 13 meters now. He continues without a sound. I glare at the man, knife firmly in hand. He doesn't respond. I'm starting to wonder if he can even see me. 10 meters. I train my eyes on his body. Amid the rising flames, I can finally see the lines of death that cover him. My brain feels like soup boiling over an open flame. What is that? A dense and intricate torrent of death swirls at the center of it all. And at the center of the torrent is an odd glimmer, bright and shining like a precious jewel. That's your bullseye, man. I think you gotta strike that. My head hurts too much to keep staring at it. It's like how staring straight into the sun will burn your retinas. There's no way I can directly stare at his core for too long. If I don't steel myself, my brain itself might rupture at the sight of it. 8 meters. He draws ever closer. The temperature rises, though not enough to cook through human flesh yet. 6 meters. The man stops. His focus falls on me. It took him this long to notice me standing here. I meet his gaze. I shouldn't make eye contact. Arkway's words of warning ring clearly in my ears. But I can't tear my eyes away. I can't ignore the abyss before me. He's different. His eyes can't be the mystic eyes Arkway was talking about. These are entirely fundamentally different. They aren't eyes that bind the viewer. They're just filled with madness. The eyes of one who has lost his mind. A madman. A poor, hapless man driven crazy by his own impulses. A man just like me. My instincts scream at me to get out of danger. Every alarm in my body tells me this is bad news. But my body won't move. Not even as much as a single fingertip. Danger signals fire through my synapses. No matter the cost, I have to get away from him. If I don't, it'll be the end of me. But I'm too late. The creature with sickly eyes stares at me, but barely pays me any notice. From its outstretched hand unfolds a fire that will burn me alive. I'm going to die. This fire is as real as it is terrifying. Different from the blue flames that flooded the hall. There is some sort of byproduct and effect to its cause. They could swallow you alive, but you wouldn't die immediately. They'd scorch you with some awful phantom pain that feeds off life itself. But these flames are different. Just getting close is enough to char the skin, enough to burn all our organic matter to ashes. The fire engulfs me from all sides like a claw seizing its prey. It will cleave my body in two, immediately cauterizing the flesh where it ripped apart. The only thing more real than this fire is my fate. Yet just before I die, my body is flung backwards with a snap. The name creaks from my throat. My mind goes blank. I have a rough understanding of what just transpired. Arkwade pulled me back before stepping in front of me to absorb the blow from the sinister fiery hand. But what I don't understand is why she did it. Wasn't I supposed to be her shield? So why is she getting hurt to protect me instead? Arkade's face crunches up in pain. The man hits her with the flaming claw again and again. But this time, she doesn't have to pull me out of the fire's way. Arkwade swings her right hand like she did in the alley, batting the flames away. But she's unable to extinguish the flames entirely, and the lingering embers strike her head on. Does that mean even Arkwade could be burned if she took the full brunt of these flames? Are they hot enough to kill even her? This woman with barely any lines on her, who's supposed to be so far removed from death? The entire clash lasted 5 seconds. The two exchange a dozen blows each way. I don't understand why, but when they're done, the man solemnly lowers his arm. He stares at Arkwade intently, not saying a single word. Arkwade glares back bitterly as she clutches at her red abdomen. The man has eyes for nothing but Arkwade. He doesn't even care that I'm here, safe behind Arkwade's protective figure, clutching a knife. Vapor slips from the man's lips. His breath is heavy, like he's being pushed through an exhaust pipe, as he reaches with his left hand to find something beneath his coat. I hear a faint metallic clink. It's gotta be some kind of blade. He's hiding a long object beneath his coat. The same object he used to rend through the back of that woman and turn her into a fountain of blood. He takes one step closer to Arkwade. His weapon is still carefully concealed beneath his coat.
無礼者、豚でなければ名を名乗れ。それとも貴様の親は最低限の言葉も教えぬ刀師だったのか？
The man stops in his tracks. A light flickers behind his hollow eyes, as if he's only just remembering himself. I don't even know what language Arkwade used, but the man clears his throat, composing himself. His voice carries a current of pain, like he had forgotten he were a living being until just now.
礼儀は知っている。だが、貴様に語るほどの名はまだない。
礼儀はなっていないけど、恥だけは足りているようね。元の名前は失ったか。でも呼び名ぐらいはあるでしょ。継いだばかりのようだけど、仮にもその一角なんだから。
The atmosphere in the hall shifts. The azure flames well up all around the corridor, burning ever brighter. It looks like Arkwade hit a sore spot.
Vlov.
A pained expression paints his face.
Vlov ArkHangel.
He declares his name.
知らない名前。私が記録していない以上、正当な後継者とも思えない。もしかして親は自滅？
そうではない。ご当主は俺が仕留めた。
なったばかりの祖ってこと。じゃあ次は私を殺して箔をつけたい？
名誉は己の胸にあるものだ。俺が欲しいものしか奪わない。
心構えは立派だけど、それなら私だけに絞りなさい。これはちょっとやりすぎよ。
いや、この都市は汚れている。焼き尽くさなければ俺の心情にも劣る。
あっそう。つまり蛮族同然の三流使徒だったわけ。
ソヤであることは自覚している。神祖の姫、その心臓を俺によこせ。
The area around Vlov twists with simmering heat. Like a river bursting through its banks, the fire rushes in our direction. Arkwade stands in front of me like a breakwater, holding back the flood from swallowing me whole.
動かないでシキ。この炎があいつの武器。消し済みになりたくなかったら私の後ろから離れないで。
I appreciate her warning, but something about her words strikes me as odd. This is his weapon. Is she really sure about that? I mean, after creating these high temperatures, he's still... No, this isn't the time to think about that. Focusing, I tightly grip the knife in my hand. He's coming. The hallway's now a cavern of flame. Vlov pulls the blade from his coat. For some strange reason, Vlov suddenly turns his back towards us. He strides down the hall and leisurely enters the elevator, leaving us behind as if nothing had happened. Okay, now I officially don't understand a goddamn thing. I don't understand those dogs. I don't understand the flames that covered the hallway. And I don't understand the waking nightmare that attacked the hotel. Arkwade slumps against me with a thud. She's got a nasty wound. It looks like she managed to stop the bleeding, but her face is contorted in pain. It's still fresh. After all, she only just received the wound while she was shielding me from certain death.
そうだよ。お前、なんで？
ちょっと甘く見てた。あれくらいならシキを助けて私も軽くかわせると思ったんだけど。さすがだねシキ。シキにやられた傷そんなに甘くなかったみたい。
With her face still scrunched up in pain, Arkwade smiles as if she were amused by her own words. I can't bear to look at her. Not only did she suffer this wound while protecting me, I'm the reason she's this weak in the first place. So why is she still smiling at me so stupidly? How am I even supposed to respond? Arkwade leans against me, putting her weight on my shoulder as she closes her eyes.
ちょっと待て。何目を閉じてるんだバカ。しっかりしろ。お前は夜なら死なない吸血鬼なんだろ。
でも私なんだか限界みたい。悪いんだけど部屋まで連れ帰っておいて。
Arkwade collapses against me. I manage to catch her just in time, arms wrapped tight around her slender body.
ちょっと待ってくれ。そんな。
If you die on me here, I really have no idea how to respond.
ダメだ。起きろアルクエイド。
I shout at her, shivering. Her eyes remain closed. When... Well, that's what I figured. I was wondering why he thought she was gonna die. Her soft snoring sounds so content. I'm starting to feel like an idiot for being worried about her at all. Yeah, my concern was wasted on her. She's not dying. She just fell asleep.
部屋まで連れてけってまた勝手なこと言いやがって。
It's not like there any other option, though. We can't exactly stay at the hotel when it was like this. Things will get difficult if we stick around the scene of a massacre. Despite everything being limited to just a hotel, as morning comes and people arrive, it'll quickly be clear what happened. My head still hurts. Arkwade isn't the only one who's at her limit. I put my glasses back on to at least alleviate my headache.
アルクエイドの部屋って。あそこか。
Even though I've only visited once, I still vividly recall its location. Well, no point in loitering here any longer. I gather up our things from the royal suite, pull Arkway into my arms, and leave the Barum Hotel with a feeling of shame pressing down on my shoulders. It's already light outside.
そうか。そういうことか。
That explains why the man left so suddenly. The sun illuminates the city with its gentle light. Night has given way to day. I forgot they were fighting like at almost 4:30 in the morning, so that makes sense. For now, I should just focus on getting Arkway the rest she needs. Taking a taxi is out of the question. We stand out if a pair of this suspicious got into your car. You definitely remember their faces. Instead, I carry Arkway as far from the hotel as I can before boarding a bus bound for Soya Station. We're lucky. Given the early hour, there are no witnesses or curious onlookers who will point their gaze at us. The emergency exit around the back is exactly like I left it 2 days ago. Neither the residents nor the building's caretakers must have noticed the lock was broken. It's 6:30 in the morning now. I sneak into the self-proclaimed vampire's room just like I did the last time. Finally, this long mess of a day can be laid to rest.